All right. So what's your name?
My name is Ricky.
What's your last name?
Riis.
Riis.
Ricky Riis. Slicky Ricky Riis.
So how old were you when you started identifying as a man?
I was 22. I'm 24. But I never really, I didn't really like identifying as female though. Ever.
So even when you were really young?
Well, yeah, because I can remember like certain instances looking back. Like my mom she'd always like correct me. She'd be like, "You're not a boy. You stop acting like a boy. You're not a boy." Or like, "You can't wear that because you're not a boy." Or I just always remember her saying shit like that to me all the time.
So speaking of your mom, your family, are they supportive of you or not?
My mom is.
Was she always?
I don't know why I'm stuck on that. I think I started thinking about my sister too much. Because she wasn't supportive of my sister. Because my sister's she came out as a lesbian when she was 19.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that, and my mom was like, "You're going through a phase," and now my sister's like, whatever. She dates and sleeps with anything, not anything, but men and women. But when I told her, because I hadn't talked to like the relationship with me and my mom wasn't very good because she wasn't a very good mother to me. So I just kind of like when I don't like something, when something's negative to me, I cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm done. I'll be back later if I feel like I want to come back. So with her, just some shit went down, and I was like, I didn't talk to her for about a year and a half, and then I called her one day, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, I'm gonna go to therapy," and she's like, "What are you going to therapy for?" And I'm like, "Well, I want to transition because this is how I feel," and blah blah blah. And she was just like, "What?" Like she didn't understand it, and I was like, "Mom, just think back when I was little. Like I've always been different." And she's like, "I know. It's just you were my little girl," and I'm like, "I'm still the same person." Like that's the one thing that sucks. People always bring that up. They're like, "Well, I'll always remember you as this," and I'm like, "Yeah, but that's not who I am. Like this is who I am."
Mm-hmm.
You know. So it was kind of hard to get her to understand that part of it. But now she's kind of supportive. I just wish she would stick up for me a little bit more because my family is really Catholic up north. My mom's side is really Catholic, and my uncle Bill, no Craig, Bill, one of my uncles was being a dick and was like, "Oh, I heard what Rachel's doing," and like scoffed, like made a noise, and my mom's just like, "Yeah, yeah." That's it. Sorry that my voice just cracked. I can't help it. But yeah, and then she like made the point to tell me this. She's like, "Yeah, your uncle did this," like thinking like she would win points. Like, "Oh, your uncle was talking shit about you." But I was like, "Mom, why didn't you stand up for like? Why didn't you say anything? Like, yeah, Ricky is happy and probably doing the best I've ever done in my life. Like, I was just really disappointed that she did that." But my brother's pretty chill. Like he actually yelled at my uncle because my uncle was like giving him shit about it, and he was like, "Well, I just want you to know that my little brother is amazing, and you can fuck off because you're like your family. You should be supportive, you know." So, but sometimes that's not always true. Like the one thing I found is the people that I thought would stand behind me just like walked out and left, and like took it really personally, which just goes to show that that's on them. I can't like dwell on it and think it's my fault because I'm just doing what I want to do to be happy. So if nobody else wants to stand behind me, then fuck them. Really.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
So is your sister okay with it then?
Yeah, she gets a little weird about it sometimes though. Not like in a bad way, just she'll get like she's really emotional, so she'll be like, "You were always my little sister," like, but I really wasn't ever your little sister. Like, it really wasn't. Like, I cut the hair off her Barbie dolls because I hated them. Like,
So you said she came out as lesbian when she was 19.
Mhm.
Have you noticed anything about like the lesbian community being um, judgmental towards you at all?
I can tell before I hated the lesbian community beforehand. Not like, okay, didn't hate, but I just felt I didn't feel a part of it. Like whenever I would go to the Saddle or the gay bars or anything, like just it felt so wrong. If there were any people that I like stereotype, but if they looked like lesbians and they were like looking at me, they'd always give me this really dirty look, like made me feel like I didn't belong. So I just kind of like I don't really, I don't know, I never really got along with them. Like I don't. Karen's like my best friend, and she's like the only like she doesn't even. I don't even know if she identifies as a lesbian anymore. More like the love is love thing. But
That's
like
how a
she,
lot of people are these
yeah,
days.
she's like my only friend who's I would say queer. That's the best way. Yeah.
So, who do you think has been the most supportive?
Karen, my best friend, Karen. Her and I have had like a conversation about it before. And she was like one of the first people I told that I was like, "This is how I feel," and she's like, "I felt like that a few times, but I wouldn't. I don't think it would be right." And I was like, "Okay." So she's been really awesome. Like from day one. Like when I think I was really drunk one night, and I was like, "Karen, I'm gonna do this," and she's like, "Okay," and just it was like that. Ever since then, she's been like right behind me, and I'd say my brother and my sister have been really good about it too. Him
So, how long have you been on T?
7 months.
7 months.
Mm-hmm.
How did you obtain the hormones?
Are you gonna put this on here? Because I did it illegally.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I did it. I was seeing my therapist, and I'm going about it the right way now. I actually have a doctor's appointment on the 24th to get blood work done and to get put on hormones for real. Okay. So what had happened is I was going to see my therapist because what you have to do most it's easier in because the Midwest. I know this is one of your questions. The Midwest isn't very trans friendly. It's not very. Not people aren't educated on it. It's not very common to have people who are out, who are showing people or telling people or being educating people, informing people. It's not very common in the Midwest. But on the coast, like in Florida or especially California, Portland, any of those places, it's like I've actually had a few trans guys that I follow on Instagram who have walked into a therapist's office, give them $40, and say, "Write me a letter for testosterone," and they walk out the door with it, and then have a script by like the next day, and then they're on it. Places like here, they follow that. It's I can't remember the guideline. It's like WAPSB or something like that. It's just a guideline that all therapists have to follow, and basically, it depends mostly on you, like how sure you are and how of sound mind you are that they think you are after you talk to them and everything. Um, but most of the time, they make you go about 3 to 6 months, and if you have a lot more, if they realize you have like psychological issues, like you have to go longer than that. So some people have to wait like a year or two. She would tell me every single time, "I'll write your letter next time. You have to give a letter saying that you are of sound body and mind and blah blah blah, and the next step is hormones, and you have been under my care and have lived in um, the gender you want to be perceived as for like it's called real life for like a year, whatever." All this stuff. They have to write all this stuff, and basically, this letter is what gets you on hormones. They send it to the doctor, and then the doctor does blood work, and then you're basically good after that.
So, you work at Planet Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Obviously, that's a gym. Um,
It's a planet of fitness.
yeah. That. Have you ever felt discriminated there at all?
By like employees or
Anyone?
well, my coworkers are all pretty chill about it. Um, when I first got hired on there, I had to sit down with my boss and I was like, "Hey, okay, I'm gonna start this out right because at Starbucks it didn't work out in my favor. So I just wanted to start out straight to the source and I was like, "Hey, I'm transitioning. It'd be really cool if you could not put my birth name on everything or tell people that." And it was kind of hard at first because like the biggest struggle most when you like first start out and you're working to get on hormones is realizing that if you are feminine, like Kirby, if you have a high pitched voice and you're trying to pass as male, you're not going to pass until you start getting on hormones. Yeah.
What do you think is the worst kind of discrimination? Or, like, what's the worst situation you've ever been in?
The only thing, I don't know, it might not be exactly what you're looking for, but the only thing that is a struggle, not only with me, but with a lot of other trans people, it's bathrooms. Is that something we can?
Yeah.
Yeah, bathrooms. Go for it. Yeah, bathrooms are a bitch.
So public restrooms?
Yes, especially a locker room at a gym. Yeah, because we don't have an employee bathroom, so yeah. Bathrooms are, it's just like pressure. Because for me, I feel comfortable because I'm on hormones and I can tell like people are gendering me the way I want to be perceived because I hold myself that way. But for anybody who's not on that, the struggle, you go into one, like a women's restroom. Like I can't even tell you how many times growing up walking into the women's restroom and someone turning and going, this is the women's restroom. I'm like,
I've even gotten that too.
Shit! I walked in here? Huh. Sorry, walk out. Or at times I'd be like, yep, I know. I can read, I'm like, I'm 21 years old. I know what bathroom I'm in right now, lady. The biggest, like a good thing society thinks about trans people is that we hate ourselves and we hate our bodies. That's not really it. And the one thing I've learned because of Instagram and everything is it's more we just love ourselves enough to want to like make ourselves like see so we can see ourselves the way we want to be seen. It's not like we hate ourselves because I think I actually love myself more than I did beforehand, even with everything. Like even though I'm not all the way through it, like I love my body. I love everything about it. Like it's just that's a stereotype though. People think we hate ourselves. I don't hate myself.
What about do most people actually just assume that every trans person is going to undergo surgery?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten when because I correct people. Like if I know anybody who's known me before, I started identifying differently. If I haven't seen them in a while and they don't know and they say it, I'll be like, hey, by the way, this is what I'm doing. This is why I look different. Blah blah blah. And they're like, well, are you gonna get a penis then? Like it's always about your it's always about genitalia. That is always like one of the first questions people ask me. Like that is not what this means. It's not because I want to have a penis, people. Like that is not why I'm transitioning. Mm-hmm. I'm transitioning because I want to feel better. I want to feel more in line with myself, like how I feel up here. It's not about that. Like yes, no, actually no, because I personally in my mind don't think that the bottom surgery is far enough advanced yet because power to the trans men out there who have gotten it. Thank you. But that's not what makes me feel like a man. That's not what makes me feel masculine. It makes me feel male.
Doesn't make the man.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that should be something people think that that's what we want.
So has it been hard for you to find other trans men in the Midwest?
In Iowa, yes.
Are there any support groups?
There is. That's that.
One Iowa.
Yeah, One Iowa that meets on like Wednesday nights, but I don't know if they project their image. There's people all over the Midwest. It just sucks that I don't know. Like I said, Instagram is like a really good community for the trans community. Incredibly amazing because, like I said, you click on that hashtag and that's all you see is pictures, and then you can be like, oh, where are you from? Oh, where are you from? Or like you can. It's just a really good way to discover people and then ask questions, and because honestly, I don't think there's enough real life stuff. People being like advocates of that. Everybody's fine with like. There's still haters on people if you want to be gay, if you want to be straight, you want to be a lesbian, whatever. There's still haters, but there's a lot of people who don't understand the trans community at all, and we're like the most underappreciated of everyone.
There's not a lot of information out there.
At all.
Are there enough doctors that really understand?
Well, the doctor that I'm going to, my therapist recommended him. My therapist is Susan House, and she's like specializes in LGBT issues. They can't refuse you service anymore before you start that. Because of the new healthcare law.
Yeah.
It's not a pre-existing condition, and they can't deny trans people rights anymore. But the cool thing about my doctor, though, is like when I called to schedule my appointment, I was like, "Hey, my name's Ricky. I want to schedule an appointment with the doctor, for hormone therapy and everything." And they're like, "Hey, being all cool and whatnot." And she's like, "They'll call you exactly what you want to be called there." She's like, "Do you have another name you go by?" I was like, "No, go by Ricky." Well, and I was like, "You're talking about my birth name?" Because they have to have legal information. I haven't changed my name yet, so it's like, "Well, this is my name." She's like, "Oh, okay. Well, we'll see you on Monday, Ricky." And I was just like, "Oh, that's cute. Like, you needed this for informational purposes, but you still refer to me the way I want to be referred." So that was a plus.
She's a straight woman.
Mhm.
I say straight because I don't think anybody's straight.
Yeah, gender's up here. Gender.
Where do you hide it?
Yeah.
The camera does add about 10 pounds on. I'm not a gamer or a ninja, so.
Or a ninja.
So everybody does drag.
Yeah.
If they want to. How old are you?